Inspiration for today's episode of Cinema Sounds and Secrets comes from Rob Reiner's mom in When Harry Met Sally.
I'll have what she's having.
Welcome to Cinema Sounds and Secrets, the podcast for anyone who loves movies. I'm Janet Doolin-Jones, visiting love around the world in the 20th century today through a London suburb just after the end of World War II, where the star-crossed duo experience finally falling in love and watch the perfect young marrieds unwind into a life of lost weekends in the hubbub of 1960s San Francisco, and follow one curmudgeonly oenophile as he drags his one oar short of a pair buddy on a crusade to find the perfect Pinot and possibly find his perfect match. And you know who has both oars in the water? My wingman, producer, actor, all around boatman of the year, John Schwab.
Should we go to the movies?
So let's go to the movies. So, John, before we dive into our 3 visits to love over half a century, you asked me last time if David Niven was knighted when we were talking about the Pink Panther.
That's right, yeah.
A few episodes back. He was never knighted, David.
Why
Niven.
not?
I don't know. Just a big faux pas to the royal family there.
Yeah. Oh, well.
And
oh, well.
I know.
He didn't win the world. He didn't win the World Cup or anything like that.
No. And he didn't, write a bunch of children's stories.
Climb Everest.
But I know, doggone it. He only entertained us for 60 years with
exactly
aplomb. My favorite David Niven moment ever was something from the Oscars in the 70s when people were streaking, which most people listening wouldn't know, but streaking was when people would run naked through a crowd just to be funny.
that's just normal on TikTok these days.
So TikTok, you got nothing on this. I think it was the 70s.
Oh, my God.
And there was this song called The Streak. Do you know this?
Oh, my God, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, my Lord. Yeah.
So anyway,
it was a thing.
A young man streaked the Oscars while David Niven was on stage about to present. And he said, "Isn't it sad that the only way this young man can get a laugh is to show us his shortcomings?"
Oh, yes.
So he deserved to be knighted just for that.
Just for that.
Yeah. And then William Goldman, we were chatting about him a few episodes back when we were doing Butch and Sundance.
Yeah.
And he did win the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay for that. And then he won Adapted Screenplay for All the President's Men.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I know, 2 great films. And All the President's Men is a movie we will be getting to.
Oh, it's such a great one. I have a good story about that when we get
okay,
there.
when we do it. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we have, and then one other cool groovy thing is that on West Side Story, because I get curious and I'm thinking, what should we be, thinking about? And I thought, Rita Moreno, was she the first, she was the first Latin American, South American, she was Puerto Rican. She was the first.
Yeah, she was Puerto Rican,
first Latinx to win the Oscar.
Yeah, amazing.
And George Chakiris, who won, was Greek, first young Greek.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. I mean, that movie was so ahead of its time.
Yeah.
It was so ahead of its time.
Yeah, it was incredible.
And
it's one of, it's one that keeps, my top 10 list. I'm sure that everybody's top 10 list fluctuates as to when, where they are in their headspace. But West Side Story dips in and out.
Sure.
Of my favorite, in my top 10 list, depending on whether or not I need a musical in there or not. But it is 100% like my favorite musical. Film for. Yeah. It's incredible.
No, it's just wonderful, and it is one of those things when you sit and watch it again, it goes right back up on the top, on the top of the list.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's just great. But on our love stories for today, because of course Riff and Anita, George Chakiris and the lovely Rita Moreno were a couple, and today we have 3 couples from 3 different decades, and we start with probably the quintessential. In this movie, by the way, is the number 2 greatest movie ever made in England, in Great Britain.
Oh, okay. Right.
And it's a love story, and it's Brief Encounter from 1925.
Yes! It's in my top 10.
Is
Brief
it?
Encounter.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I love this film. I love it. It's just, I mean, I watched it maybe 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it is one of my favorite of all time. It is heartbreaking. And
yes.
Love it.
Yeah. No, it is an absolutely beautiful, beautiful film. And in 1945, right at the end of the war, they shot during the last, days of the war. In fact, the war ended while they were shooting.
Right.
In Europe, it did.
Wow.
And so if you don't know A Brief Encounter, it's hard to really describe how beautiful it is, because it's such a beautiful film. It's so beautiful. And it really oughtn't to be when you look at the storyline and how they shot it and anything. But it is an absolutely gorgeous script by Noel Coward.
Mm.
It is a very different type of film from David Lean.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very un-Noel Coward script.
Yes, it is. Yes. I mean, everything about it is really, really, really different. And it was originally a play by Noel Coward. Yep. And David Lean and Noel Coward, and he was working with Noel Coward, and that he was really his mentor. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yes, yeah. So that's how that really came about, and which I'll get into in a little bit in the talk. And then they had been working together. Noel Coward was working together with him, and this play was there. And he said, "Let's do this." So they decided to turn it into a film, and Noel Coward was uncredited, and David Lean, Ronald Neame, his partner of many years, who also did Hopscotch with Walter Matthau, and was a DP himself, and just this really, really amazing talent in his own. But he did. What else did he do? He did some interesting things too. Like he did Judy Garland's last film. He did Scrooge with Albert Finney. He did The Poseidon Adventure. He did Gene Brody, and this is Ronald Neame, who's David Lean's partner.
Right.
And just a incredible creative source in himself. So you have Neame, Lean, and Noel Coward. Just all at really the beginning of their. Well, Coward just at the top of his game, Lean stepping into it, and Neame, they were all.
I mean, David Lean is, again, Lawrence of Arabia is one of the ones that goes over, also Bridge over the River Kwai, goes up and down, like in and out. I mean, David Lean is unbelievable. And a master editor, like a storyteller, just incredible.
Which is how he started. So Neame was a DP, Lean was an editor. They were working with Coward, and then they all just kept moving forward. And so the movie has, before I get into the story of it, it's Sergei Rachmaninoff was the composer. Celia Johnson, very famous British actress, played Laura. Trevor Howard, whom I just love to bits. Oh my gosh, Trevor Howard, right? Just dreamy as the Doctor, Dr. Alec, and Stanley Holloway, Joyce Carey, and Cheryl Raymond in the other roles. They had 3 Oscar nominations. For Best Actress, for Celia Johnson was a nominee. Lean directed for Director is a nominee, and Writing. And it was Lean's first Oscar nod. And the song by Rachmaninoff, the composition by Rachmaninoff, which was Rachmaninoff number 2, was chosen by Coward, and he insisted that it be the song in the film, and it is really extraordinary how it's used. But it is the number 2 best British film ever from the BFI, and in fact, 3 of Lean's films are in the top 10,
which must be Lawrence of Arabia,
Brief
Encounter, and either Bridge Over the River Kwai. What's the?
It's an unusual one. You won't expect it.
Okay, what is it?
Great Expectations.
Would have you could have given me guess after guess. I'd have never done that.
Yes, Great Expectations.
Wow.
And this won the grand prize at Cannes and became an international sensation. This movie, it was unexpected, actually years ago I met David Lean, Sir Lean, at Dawn Steele's home. He was over. I think it was when he won the honorary Oscar, and he was over, and she had a gathering at her home in Bel Air, as you do, right?
Yeah.
And he was seated on the couch, and everyone was going to pay homage. And I just, I went and sat with him, and we talked about Brief Encounter.
And of course you would.
How much
that's the one I would have done.
Yeah. Yeah. And I honestly can't remember, just that, because I think a lot of the men were sitting, as mainly men there, of course, in the film business, were talking about either, mainly Bridge of the River Kwai is their like go-to movie. So, I sat down and
go ahead.
No, I just said, I asked, I do remember just saying, what, he said it was the film for then. It was just the film to do then. It was what we all needed.
Yeah. It is just, it's a stunning, like, it's a film. I tell you what, if you're feeling like, if you're not feeling alive or not feeling inspired, or you're feeling emotionless,
right.
It's a film that just, you feel the loves, you feel them all, you feel all the emotions, you get all the feels, as the kids say these days.
Yes.
And you shouldn't be rooting for them to get together because it is
wrong.
Well, it's wrong. Society's saying it's wrong. Like, but you just kind of go, is it wrong? These people love each other. Like, you can tell they were meant for each other. And yet society goes, nuh-uh.
Cold?
No, not really.
Happy?
No, not really.
I know exactly what you're going to say. That it isn't worth it. That the furtiveness and lying outweigh the happiness we might have together. Isn't that it?
Something like that.
I want to ask you something, just to reassure myself.
What is it?
It is true for you, isn't it? This overwhelming feeling we have for each other. It's as true for you as it is for me, isn't it?
Yes, it's true.
And just that scene, that end scene when she walks in, you never see the husband. You just see him in his chair or his hand.
Always, yes, he's very rarely on the screen.
On the screen.
Oh. Very, very rarely on the screen. And it's very, it's just very, it's just so their perspective and the dialogue is gorgeous. I mean, the dialogue is just frigging ridiculously gorgeous.
I know.
And the titles of the movies they go see, are all made up and they're all fabulous. Yes. I mean, everything in this. So for those who don't know anything about the story, it is set at the end of the war. Actually, it's set earlier, a little earlier, I think. It's set just before the war, and they know war is coming. Everyone knows war is coming. It's 38, the end of 38.
Yeah.
And it's two people who are responsible, they're decent, they're kind. Trevor Howard is a doctor with a really difficult wife. And Celia Johnson is with a husband who is just, a regular kind of in his suit, goes to work kind of guy, where his idea of fun is reading the newspaper aloud to her. That's his idea of fun. And it's a film really about finding love when you're sure you've missed it, when you just didn't get it right. And it's about two people who just meet on a train platform and what happens to them over like 2 or 3 meetings over 2 or 3 weeks.
A few meetings,
over a few weeks.
It doesn't really. I don't think. I can't remember it being explicit in how long it is.
It's just a few weeks. Yeah. Because let's meet on Thursday. It's every Thursday when she goes into town.
That's right.
And they love to go to movies, and they and that's where they just enjoy each other's company, and they talk about books, and they talk about ideas and ideals, and he's this amazing doctor. He isn't just a regular doctor. He's going out and trying to save the world kind of doctor. Remember, he's going to go to Africa and just do all these things. And yet it's also about how responsibility and repressing yourself and being very British at that time was also part of the dynamic. And it's you're right. It's a very unusual piece for Coward because it wasn't about being brilliant and witty. It was about heart. Yeah.
It wasn't wordplay, which is Coward, and he did, there are some, like you say, there's some brilliant lines. I mean, it is one of my favorite endings of any film ever. Right. When the husband says, you've been away for a long way. He basically just says, thank you for coming back to me. And that devastated me. Yeah. Devastated me when I first saw it. And that's what I know the ending. You know, we watch films because we love them, but knowing that ending and you watching it.
Yes.
Every time I watch it, I see something new, and I see a different twinkle in her eye. It's an incredible film.
Laura.
Yes, John.
Whatever your dream was, it wasn't a very happy one, was it? Is there anything I can do to help?
Yes, Fred, you always help.
You've been a long way away. Thank you for coming back to me.
I love this film.
It's just beautiful. Well, so for the cast, Celia Johnson, and also one thing beautiful about this film, everything really is pretty much from her point of view, and she narrates the movie.
Right.
And you hear her thoughts, but it's not a narration. You hear her thought process as it's happening.
Almost as she's talking to him as well in points. Yeah.
Yes. So she was a very, very famous actress at the time. It was her only Oscar-nominated performance. And they were going to shoot 4 weeks at a railway station outside of London because the at this time the Blitz had happened and everyone was on edge. And the cast and crew it's really not unlike where we are now with everyone thinking about if we produce, we have to have quarantined crews and everyone has to stay together. And that's exactly what they had to do because of the war. Same thing. And they just developed a spirit of camaraderie. And she was, I guess, a good poker player and good at crosswords. So everyone loved her. Everyone just loved her. And her interior monologues and her agony and rapture is just so beautiful in this movie. And I did think that is what holds it all together is we just hear this woman trying to figure this all out, and
she's desperate.
She's desperate.
The desperation in her voice.
Yes.
She's desperately lonely.
Yes.
And then she's desperately happy. And then she's desperately anxious about what to do. There's a desperation that runs through it.
Yeah, and tortured because she's also a good wife, a good wife. And but she was 36 years old when she made the film, and she and I think Trevor Howard was almost 8 years younger. But you look at them, you
would know.
And it was his first big film. He'd done one other film. This was his first big film. She was a RADA. She went to RADA, the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts.
She sounds like she went to RADA.
And she thought it was the only thing she was good at. Oh. And she said, well, and she thought it might be a rather wicked career to follow. But she's so not wicked, right?
Yeah, oh God, no.
So the lovely Trevor Howard, who was younger and as the doctor, was not the first choice. An actor named Roger Livesey was the first choice. He was an actor then. Popular.
Don't know that name.
I know. I didn't either. And David Lean and Anthony Allen saw Trevor Howard in a rough cut of a movie that was his first movie role, and they offered it to him. And he was an unknown. and he had just been invalided out of the army. So he had a lot to bring to it as well.
Wow.
There's your train.
Yes.
You mustn't miss it.
No.
What's the matter?
Nothing. Nothing at all, really.
It's been so very nice. I've enjoyed my afternoon enormously.
I'm so glad. So have I. I apologize for boring you with long medical words.
I feel dull and stupid not to be able to understand more.
Shall I see you again?
It's the other platform, isn't it? You'll have to run. Don't bother about me. It might not do for a few minutes.
Shall I see you again?
Yes, of course. Perhaps you'll come out to Ketchworth one Sunday. It's rather far, I know, but we should be delighted.
Please. Please.
What is it?
Next Thursday, the same time.
No, I couldn't possibly.
Please. I ask you most humbly.
You'll miss your train.
All right.
Run.
Goodbye.
I'll be there.
Thank you, my dear.
He was not used to acting for the camera, and he really had to work with it. And Celia Johnson just like held, basically, figuratively and probably literally held his hand, and they made him a great film star. I mean, they made him a movie star beyond.
He's just brilliant. Yeah. He's an absolute freaking natural in this film.
So natural, so kind. So they are so real, the two of them. And that's what I feel we're missing from a lot of films now is the realness between people, and where you're so busy watching personalities or movie stars, and they're not the people. And these two, wow.
It is. I think that's a theme and running through my top tens. A lot of them is the between two people, the relationships, and whether it's the Apartment or Harold and Maude or Shawshank Redemption. The two
Their
solid relationships where they're that's so strong.
Right.
That is what that says about me. I don't know. I'll have to ask my therapist.
I know. I mean, almost all the movies we've done so far really are about that. You know, even Butch and Sundance.
And yes, Butch and Sundance. Exactly.
I mean, even in Superman, Chris Reeve and Margot Kidder had such a real. Remember, we were talking about that realness, that charm. That you believed them. So why did David Lean do this? He was from Croydon. And did you know that? Yeah, he was from Croydon. Yep. He hated Croydon. He loved London. He was a chain smoker. And also, it's very interesting. He was a relentless womanizer, which I knew about, but I don't know if you knew that. He was a relentless womanizer, married 6 times, had heaps of mistresses. He was oddly erratic. I think because he was Quaker, he felt he had to get married.
Right.
So he was getting married. But it went against just his restless nature.
Quaker beliefs is all about fairness and equality, and treating people right. So
okay. But he was Coward's protege. He was an editor and had worked for Coward. He helped him on Which We Serve, This Happy Breed, which was a war effort movie, and then Blithe Spirit, and then finally on Brief Encounter. And Neem and Lean were kind of his team on those films. And after Brief Encounter, they really decided that they needed to go apart from Coward and find their own ways. So, Neem and Lean then went on to do all these other wonderful films together before Neem then went on and did his own films as well. So this is the last movie that they did. And, Neem was just going to do Great Expectations, and they just thought, we have to try our own wings. It was what they said, and they would never work together again. Coward and Lean were great friends, and they just needed to move forward because it was now either they were just going to be Coward and Lean, or it would be David Lean, and then Neem, and just go off and make your own, which is just the kind of, it's very Oedipal, right? You have to go, okay, Dad, I don't love you anymore, right? You have to go. And you're a dad, so it's like, they have to go and make their own way.
I know.
And I know you're out there. So see, it happens to everyone, John.
Yeah,
even Noel Coward.
Oh God, I'm in good company. All good.
Yeah. So the movie was shot. What's this fabulous, fantastic about it was the end of World War II. It was. We went into production in January. It completed in May, and on May 8th, they did interrupt shooting and didn't shoot that day, which was the day Germany surrendered. And it wasn't for that. They were given the day off only because everyone needed the cameras they were using to film the VE Day celebrations and around Great Britain. So, one of my favorite little David Lean comments and stories from Brief Encounter was after the film came out, he was accosted by an angry man in a train station who said to him that he hated the movie because he said, "Do you realize, sir, that if Celia Johnson could contemplate being unfair to her husband, my wife could contemplate being unfaithful to me," he stammered.
Yeah.
It's like, well, hey, hello.
Be a better husband.
Yeah, be a better husband. So they had the beautiful Rachmaninoff theme, which is just stunning. And the composer, of course, wanted to compose his own score. It was Neil Matheson, and they're like, no way. If you remember, there's that car accident on the bridge in the film.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's the bridge by my house in Primrose Hill.
Ah,
that little bridge, yeah.
Nice.
So they shot it right in my old neighborhood, my home, that little neighborhood.
Well, every time I get the boat up from Greenwich to Embankment in London, you pass David Lean's house that he had on the Embankment.
Yes, that house.
It's just every time I go, it takes me back to his incredible amount of work, you know.
Yes, I know. When I've done that boat as well, I always look for the Lean house. Like, oh, there it is. Yeah, because I remember years ago someone pointing it out to me. That's David Lean's house.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. What a spot, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So now 2 decades later, I love this. Billy Wilder was inspired by a moment in the movie to write one of his own truly great films. Do you know what it would be?
Well, is it the? Oh.
And it involves where they're going to go to have their assignation when they finally go. Where do they go?
Oh, was it Avanti? Was it? What is it? Which?
It's the apartment.
Oh, was it the apartment?
Yes, because he was watching the movie and wondering.
Oh my God! I have literally just said it.
Did you just see it? Did you just see the apartment?
No, I'm just. It is one of my favorite films of all times.
Yes.
I'm a big Billy Wilder. I should have said that. I was kind of going, what would have been something that shouldn't have happened? Like, would it have been Sunset Boulevard, where actually it should be? You know what I mean? Because Sunset Boulevard is like, shouldn't happen, this relationship, or should it? You know. Anyway, yeah.
He thought it was interesting. What could happen in it if a friend gave up his apartment to a friend having an affair?
Yes. Yeah.
And so he did it on the friend.
Oh, so he did it. Of course he did. Yes, because yeah. So it's Cyril, or what's his name? The guy that plays Fred, whatever his name is. Was it Fred or?
Yeah.
Anyway, his mate.
Who comes in the other doctor.
It is just horrible. It's horrible. That moment is horrible.
Darling.
It's raining. Started just as I turned out of the high street.
You had no umbrella and your coat's wet. You mustn't catch cold. That would never do.
Like an absolute fright.
Let me put that down for you.
Thank you.
I hope the fire will perk up in a few minutes.
I expect the wood was damp.
Yes, I expect it was. Do sit down, darling.
I got right into the train, then got out again. Wasn't it idiotic?
We're both very, very foolish.
Alec, I can't stay, you know. Really, I can't.
Just a little while. Just a little while.
Quickly, I must go.
Here.
Through the kitchen. There's a tradesman's staircase.
Is that you, Alec?
Yes. You're back early.
Yes, I felt a cold coming on, so I denied myself the always questionable pleasure of dining with that arch-arguer Roger Hinchley. Decided to come back to bed. Inflamed membranes are unsympathetic to dialectic.
What will you do about food?
I can always ring down to the restaurant if I want any later on. We live in a modern age, and this is a service flat.
Yes, of course.
It caters for all tastes. You know, my dear Alec, you have hidden depths which I never even suspected.
Look here, Steve, now
For
really...
heaven's sake, Alec, no explanations or apologies. I am the one who should apologize for returning so inopportunely.
You know, and you know, this was not the first. This was the first time, but not the last time, Lean was going to use train stations so beautifully. He did it in Summertime, Bridge on the River Kwai, Lawrence of Arabia to great effect, and Dr. Zhivago. But this was his first time, and it was the Carnforth train station, which he never used again. Good old Carnforth. Yeah. And to go out on this film before we go to our next tragic love. There we have kind of, this is all almost unrequited love stories or sad love stories today, but so brilliant. I'm going to go out on the wonderful quote from the movie, which is, "I know this is the beginning of the end, not the end of my loving you, but the end of our being." Oh. I know. And it comes from a 9th century love poem by the Arab poet Al-Bin Salawat al-Qasari. And it's on the rug in her sitting room is the passion, and it's the utterance of passion in my eye speaks to you. So it's all about this just great love that you cannot quite have. And then the next story is about a love that you have but lose and may get back. Okay. And it is another Blake Edwards film.
Right.
Which is also, interestingly, an unusual film for Blake Edwards to do, known really for his comedy. And it's The Days of Wine and Roses.
Okay. I don't know that. I don't know this one, Janet. Wow. See, this every now and then. Listen, I don't know this. I know
of it. Yeah.
Of it because I think. Who's in it? Well, it's Jack Lemmon. You just talked about The Apartment.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, of course.
World Library of Great Literature is on your plan. J to L, Gile.
Mm-hmm. My father gave me those for my high school graduation, and he said if I read all the way from Abu to Yazoo, it would be the equivalent of a college education.
Oh. Gile, that puts you about the middle of your sophomore year.
Oh, no, thank you.
No, that's all right. That's fine.
But
they're special for you. It's chocolate. Go on. Try it.
Oh, it's good. It is. Oh, very.
Yeah. See what I mean? Brandy Alexander, they call that.
I only know it because I'm sure the DVD is in my house somewhere because I have most Jack Lemmon DVDs.
I mean, Jack Lemmon. Well, you know my story. Oh, you don't know my Jack Lemmon story.
I don't know your Jack Lemmon story.
I'll tell it as we go. So I do. Okay. Well, let's talk about the movie for a bit, and I'll tell.
Okay, let's talk about it because I'm not going to have much to add to this one. So I'm gonna sit back and listen on this one. I think.
So it's 1962. Blake Edwards, the writer, is J.P. Miller. Henry Mancini, beautiful song, wow. And this theme song is absolutely heartbreaking. The Days of Wine and Roses theme song, and it's. You know, Mancini captures the longing and beauty and heartache of this story. It's so it won one Oscar, was nominated for 4. So it was Best Music, Original Song, Days of Wine and Roses, and it was Best Actor. It was Jack Lemmon nominated. Actress was Lee Remick was nominated. Art Direction and Costumes were all nominated. And it was the only film to be nominated for Best Actor and Actress that year. And Liam Remick and Jack Lemmon would perform one more time in another movie in a 1980s tribute, if you haven't seen it, which was a play originally. And The Days of Wine and Roses was originally a teleplay by Mr. Miller, and it was done on Playhouse 90, which was a thing on TV. It was really, in a way, what they're trying to do now with streaming and stuff. It was live. It was all live.
Was it like live, like a live story?
Live filmed play on television. Playhouse 90 was a big thing, and it was in that version. That was funny, oddly enough, directed by John Frankenheimer, and was Piper Laurie and Cliff Robertson. And Alex North, the great composer, did the music on it for the TV. And it is a story about a young couple, and it's the 60s. It was that whole, one time to break free from the 50s and go out and live their little American hometowns and have the big city life. And it's about a young couple in San Francisco, and they meet and it's Jack Lemmon. He's working, white collar, and he's a drinker, and they start drinking together, and they go down into the rabbit hole of alcoholism.
I walked by the Union Square bar. I was going to go in, and I saw myself, my reflection in the window. And I thought, I wonder who that bum is. And then I saw it was me. Now look at me, I'm a bum. Now look at me, look at you, you're a bum. Look at you. And look at us, come on. Look at us, see? A couple of bums.
Hurts.
Now look, listen to me, you gotta listen to me. It came to me all of a sudden, I saw the whole thing. You know why I've been fired from 5 jobs in 4 years, and it's not politics. Like we always say, it's not office politics or jealousy or any of that stuff. It's booze. It's booze.
A couple of drinks.
We have more than a couple of drinks. We get drunk. We stay drunk most of the time. Look at that dump that we live in and the clothes that we wear. We send that child off to school like she's looking. I'm a drunk and I don't do my job, and that's it. I'm a drunk and I don't do my job, and I get fired and I can't get a job now, and we should have done this a long time ago, taken a look at ourselves and realized we just turned into a couple of bums.
It is absolutely, it's just a really amazing film. And it's interesting because the title of the play and movie comes from another poem, Vitae Summa Brevis, which is the brief time of our lives. And it's like, they are not long the days of wine and roses. Out of a misty dream, our path emerges for a while, then closes within a dream. Oh. So just, Corey, I know, it's like, it's heartbreakingly beautiful. And this was the first film after Lost Weekend, which was with Ray Milland, about alcoholism. But
oh my gosh, so it sounds very, along the same lines, obviously.
Yeah. And it was more, but it was really, now AA was a thing. And this was the first film to feature Alcoholics Anonymous and to really look at an addiction problem in a young, gorgeous couple and at all. This was like one of the first. So it was a really brave and interesting choice for Edwards. And it was Lemon's first real serious role. He was really known for
his comedies.
Yes. I mean, just all his comedies, It Should Happen to You, all these 1950s comedies, Mr. Roberts, and some Pulver. So this was a big step for him. And Edwards went to AA after the film to get sober. And they were drinking a lot of whiskey on the set. And the film really had an effect on the growing acceptance of Alcoholics Anonymous and making it, something that, oh my gosh, there's a way I can deal with this. And it was, the film, has a very kind of left open ending, and they were very worried about it. But Blake Edwards said that he said in an interview many years later that Jack Warner wanted to make a happy ending. And he said, but that's not the story we're telling. And he just said he couldn't do it. And so Warner, he said, come and watch the film again. So Warner went to see this movie again in the screening room with a date, a very beautiful date. And he wouldn't say who it was. Blake Edwards would not say who it was. I'm sure it was some young actress. And she just blasted the idea that they should change the ending. And he gave in. So it's always good. The influence of a woman is very important.
Nice. Well done. Well done, anonymous date.
Yes. And the other thing is Jack Lemmon actually flew to Paris right the day after they wrapped, so he wouldn't be available to do any reshoots. So they really planned it. It's like, what can we do to avoid having to change this film? So Jack Lemmon, for research, went to the drunk tank in Hollywood, at the Hollywood Police. And I can't even imagine what that was like back then.
Back then.
Because there's a straitjacket scene in the movie where he has the BTs. And it is, it's kind of hard to believe he didn't win. But and one thing I have not done, I didn't look up to see who else was nominated. So the next time we do a podcast, I'll pull up who won, because I'm sure it was somebody. In those days, every role was great, So, and Lemmon and Liam Remick actually both went to AA afterwards to put their lives in order.
I hear you.
Well, what are you going to do about it?
I heard you, but we've got our own little apartment.
No, we haven't. I'm not going back there. Never, never. I want to be where people live. I don't want any of your mealy mouth, holier-than-thou do-gooder Boy Scouts with their hot coffee and their cold feet. I don't want anybody who doesn't have the guts to take a drink. Now go away. Go away.
So, okay, let me talk about Lee Remick, and I'll tell you how I met Jack Lemmon. So Lee Remick, who I loved, I don't know if you're a big Lee Remick fan, she, I guess this was probably her greatest role, but she was in A Face in the Crowd. That was her first movie.
She was in The Omen.
The Omen. Well, that's probably what she would be mainly known as. Gregory Peck's wife.
That's right. That's right.
Yes, and I think most people would know her from that. But if you want to see a great performance, watch her in this or in Face in the Crowd, which we'll also be talking about, and we'll also be talking about The Omen as well.
Oh my God, that movie scared the shit out of me.
Oh no, that is a terrifying movie.
Oh, it's terrifying.
Yeah, but so Lee Remick was, so besides Face in the Crowd, she was also in The Long Hot Summer, directed by Marty Ritt, and that was a Newman Joanne Woodward movie. I know we'll be talking about that. And then what's interesting about Jack Lemmon and in this movie, in Days of Wine and Roses, is his sponsor in AA is Jack Klugman.
Right.
And Jack Lemmon would go on to do the Odd Couple movie, and Klugman would play Oscar Madison in the TV series.
Yeah. I mean, that is so wild. That's
so
wild.
Right.
Quincy was his sponsor.
Yes. Yeah. And so when they were shooting, and I love this about Jack Lemmon, he did talk about this when I met him, but he always has a piano on. He always had a piano on the set, at where they were shooting. And on this movie, they had a pool table. So he said, because you wanted to keep your energy up and be in a good mood and be up for it. Because he said, if you find yourself sitting in a trailer all the time, you just kind of are climbing the walls. So he had a pool table and a piano, and they were really up for it. And he was, so Jack Lemmon and you just have to see this movie. His performance is so beautiful. There's a men's sequence. Yeah, there's this beautiful men's sequence where he goes to see his father-in-law, which is just beautiful and extraordinary.
Okay.
But all right, so Jack Lemmon, when I was senior in high school, I was in the drama club, and I, surprise, and and the boy who's the secretary of the drama club sent a letter to Jack Lemmon's agent saying, Jack Lemmon is our drama teacher's favorite actor, and we want to have him come and talk to us. She talks about him all the time. It was beautiful. I never read the letter. So he reads this letter, and he gets a phone call at home, and it's Jack Lemmon calling him.
Oh.
And he had never been asked, this is after winning Oscars and everything, right? Never been asked to come and talk to anybody.
What?
And so and this is, I think, in the times before people were really doing this.
Yeah,
So
sure, okay.
he said he would come. And at first when he called and he said it was Jack Lemmon, Michael Parkins hung up the phone.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, whatever.
And then he called back and said, don't hang up. It is me. I got the letter. And first of all, that his agent sent it to him. I just love it. And so we didn't know it was him. We were just told we had the afternoon off from our classes for a special visitor. So we're thinking, one of her friends from college or something talking about touring in a road company. You know what I mean? So we were all in the room, in the drama room. And of course, it's night raked seating and everything so everyone can see. And this Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow pulls up in the parking lot and parks in our principal's parking spot. And our drama room was up near the front of the school and we could see it. And Jackie, our drama teacher, was just like beside herself. And she is down there with Michael and we see it's Jack Lemmon. I think we all nearly had heart attacks. And he came in and he talked to us for like nearly 3 hours. I mean, he was just telling stories and recounting about his career and his approach. And he was absolutely lovely, lovely, lovely. And I just thought, wow, if everybody is as nice as Jack Lemmon, I have to be in this business. I just had to be in this business. And many years later, when I wrote my first big commissioned film for Paramount, and I finished it, the former husband was at CAA, as was Jack Lemmon, and I knew all the agents. And so I sent my script with a note I drove over and dropped off a copy, and as you used to do, and with a letter for Jack Lemmon and said, you inspired me many years ago, and this is my first big project for Paramount. And if you hadn't inspired me, I wouldn't be writing this. And I just wanted to send it to you and say thank you. And he read it and sent me back a really lovely letter.
Oh my God.
That's my Jack Lemmon story. Anyway, it's like crazy, right?
Incredible. But he's the one that said you have to send the elevator back down, and you do. He kept sending it down. So
he did. He was just generous. He loved what he did, and he was super inspiring. And there's, I'll end on his lovely quote from the movie, which you have to see. You and Tat would love it. It's special, and for many reasons, it's a very profound film. And if you want to grab on, he says this to his wife, if you want to grab on, but there's just room for you and me, no threesome. It's perfect, right? I know, it's perfect.
I love it.
So our last look at love today with, gosh, I wish Mr. Lemmon were still around. He was just very inspiring. Okay. Lovely human. A 2004 movie. Okay. Also, is interesting, centering around wine, but in a very love fest kind of way, is Sideways.
Oh, I love Sideways.
Yeah.
I love Sideways. What a film.
And what a film.
The introduction of Sandra Oh, my first kind of real Thomas Hayden Church.
Yes.
Also Paul Giamatti, who I just
made him a movie star.
That one was just, I was with him. Yeah. I was like, this guy's crazy, but what a brilliant ensemble.
And everyone's very real. Anyway, everyone's very real in it.
I'll let you talk about it, but I just love this film.
Well, how about that soundtrack?
I know. Oh my God, yes.
Love it. You just want to go cruise up to Napa when you're listening to this music.
I know. I think I joined the Wine Society after I saw this film. I was like, I'm not fucking drinking Merlot.
Yeah, no more Merlot. So Alexander Payne, and of his movies, I really love the movie. I saw Citizen Ruth, his first movie, but the movie, his early movie that I just watched and went, what, was Election, right?
Oh, that was genius.
Woo. So, and she's never been better.
Nope.
Never been better. Reese Witherspoon, just unbelievably fantastic.
Brilliant. Another one of his that I absolutely love is The Descendants with George Clooney, the one with Hawaii.
Love it. Yes, that's the other one.
It's stunning. For me, it does it.
Those are his three. So we will be doing Descendants and Election. Maybe I'll do them together. I don't know.
What?
I don't know. Yeah. So I love Descendants. They're both.
Me too.
And what's great about these movies, like our favorite movies of the Golden Era, you can watch it over and over.
Oh yeah.
You can just watch it again. And so we have Rex Pickett did the novel, and Alexander Payne and Jim Taylor, his partner of many years, writing partner, did the screenplay.
Right.
Fade and Papa Michael did the DP. Rolf Kent, the fabulous score, as we talked about, which
so good.
People will be hearing as we're talking. So,
Nice.
The cast, of course, Paul Giamatti, Thomas Hayden Church, who was really a TV actor from, I think, Wings, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, exactly. Hadn't done much at that point.
Yeah, and Virginia Madsen, wonderful Virginia Madsen in this movie, as Maya, the wine connoisseur. Yes, the oenophile, as we would say, the oenophile. Is that how you say it? I'm not even sure.
Yeah, probably right. Oenophile.
But for British, it'd be oenophile.
Oenophile.
Well, it was up for 4 Oscars, which is wonderful. And it won 1, which was Best Writing Adapted Screenplay.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
totally deserved. It was nominated for Best Picture, which is really hard for comedies now. You know? And Best Supporting Actor of Thomas Hayden Church.
Let me show you how this is done. First thing, hold the glass up and examine the wine against the light. You're looking for color and clarity. Just get a sense of it, okay?
Okay.
Thick, thin, watery, syrupy. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Now, tip it. What you're doing here is checking for color density as it thins out towards the rim. That's going to tell you how old it is, among other things. It's usually more important with reds. Okay?
Okay.
Now, stick your nose in it. Don't be shy. Really get your nose right in there, really. A little citrus. Maybe some strawberry. Passion fruit. And, there's just like the faintest soupçon of like asparagus, and there's just a flutter of like a nutty Edam cheese.
Wow. Strawberries, yeah.
Good.
Strawberries.
Yeah.
Not the cheese.
Put your glass down. Get some air into it. Oxygenating it opens it up. It unlocks the aromas, the flavors. Very important. Smell again. That's what you do with every one of them.
Wow. When do we drink?
Now.
And Best Supporting Actress, Virginia Madsen. And he was nominated for Best Achievement in Directing, was Alexander Payne. So 5 altogether and 1 win, which is fantastic. And so Rolf Kent, which is interesting because the music is so hipster, like 60s retro LA, right? Well, where do you think Rolf Kent came from? Where do you think he was born?
Must have been right there in Woodstock.
No, you'll love this. He was born in the UK.
Was he?
Yes. And he started. I had to do this because it's such a journey for this guy. Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say he's in Shoreditch. He's an original Shoreditch man.
Exactly. Right, something like that. He started out doing soft porn films for Playboy, and he started scoring them, and then he eventually got a little doing shorts and trying to do better work, and he worked his way up the ranks to bigger and better movies, and it ended up eventually doing like Fight Club, Zoolander, Legally Blonde, Sideways. But I love that he started out with Playboy videos.
I think it's brilliant. He just used a lot of wah-wah guitar and some
Wah. He did win the Golden Globe for this. And the story, what I'll get to in 2 seconds, I'll tell you about the writer. It was a book by Rex Pickett. Jim Taylor and Alexander Payne actually met while working temp jobs in LA. They were roommates. They wrote Citizen Ruth. And then Taylor went off and went to the Tisch School of Performing Arts at the age of 30. And then they were writing Citizen Ruth while he was a graduate student, and he got his master's there. And they made it while he was doing his MFA. So that's how Citizen Ruth got made, which launched him into their career. And then Sideways is a film following two men in their 40s, Miles, who's a depressed teacher and an unsuccessful writer, can't quite finish that great American novel, and his buddy, who is a kind of a struggling actor who is
struggling. I would say struggling. I was going to say actor, but that would
no
make
super
it too
struggling.
easy.
Yeah, he's like he's just not quite getting any jobs. Like third cop in the car in a Adam 12 episode, right? So it's a movie about friendship, and the one thing that Miles does love and connects to is wine.
Yes.
And Sideways refers to the fact that you have to lay a bottle of wine on its side so the cork stays wet if you're properly aging a good wine. And it's a metaphor for the life of the protagonist, who is also middle-aged and on his side and maybe aging a little too much, right? And he can't finish his novel. He steals money from his mother, who is just, this lovely woman. I think Mary Louise Burke was the actress who played his mom, who was wonderful. Right. And to go on this road trip with his friend up to Napa, and their life is never the same. I think they're both their lives are changed by this. Well, that road trip. I mean, there's so many things. The naked guy in the work boots is my favorite moment. Do you remember the angry one?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry for those who haven't seen it. Now you have to see it, because you have to say, what the heck are they talking about?
Yeah. Got to see it.
So, when you're, and Alexander Payne said something wonderful about this movie. He says, when you're making a film, you're putting time in a bottle, and you're trying to capture the zeitgeist and the essence of the story that you're trying to tell. And if you open yourself up to inspiration, and if you stay open throughout the production, it'll become even something richer once you put it in the bottle, right?
Nice.
And writing, and I feel this way too, is and editing. These are all the job. All of this is the job in film. Nothing happens without the other.
Sure.
So it's such a wonderful metaphor for the film and life and our work, right? And,
absolutely. I mean, I think this was such a hugely successful film, because I think that everybody could resonate with. It wasn't necessarily a midlife crisis. I mean, the guy was in a rut, and and the struggling actor, like, who isn't in a struggling job? And they just decided to do this road trip. Like, come on, and he's about to get married, so come on, let's go. And Thomas Hayden Church plays a buffoon, but he's a lovable buffoon. He's just, you think,
good-hearted, buffoon. Yes,
the conversations in this film, and the reason why I think the acting as an actor, for me, this film, I just watched it and thought, holy crap, they're just making it look so easy.
There is this scene where they meet Sandra Oh, which is hilarious and wonderful. God. And Sandra Oh was married to Payne at the time.
Right.
That's just a wonderful scene. The scene where they first meet Maya is wonderful. And then there's the scene where she talks about her love of wine and why she loves it, which is one of the most beautiful speeches.
So still. It's so still.
Yes.
Sitting on the porch and just talking
about why this is such a beautiful thing to be an oenophile, to love wine, to live up there where she lives. And this for Giamatti, who of course knows nothing about wine, knew nothing about wine.
Yeah.
I like to think about what was going on the year the grapes were growing, how the sun was shining, if it rained. I like to think about all the people who tended and picked the grapes. And if it's an old wine, how many of them must be dead by now? I like how wine continues to evolve. Like, if I opened a bottle of wine today, it would taste different than if I'd opened it on any other day. Because a bottle of wine is actually alive. And it's constantly evolving and gaining complexity. That is until it peaks. Like you're 61. And then it begins its steady, inevitable decline. And it tastes so good.
They drink tons of Welch's grape juice. The really purple grape juice in the movie.
They were regular. They certainly were regular during the filming.
Regulars, yes. And it was very that was so well done. I mean, you believe they were drinking those amazing wines because they were so connected. And of course, Payne does love wine. And so he kind of coached everyone on it. And there's the wonderful line about Merlot. There's the wine about the aging and the varietals. I mean, it's just, it's a love letter to a craft. It's when you look at it as a metaphor, it's a love letter to anything that's artistic, anything that takes time, anything that has a beauty to it. So it's really, really beautiful. And Maya, I think one of the lovely moments, Maya, who wins her points with Miles, is when she observes that the alcohol overwhelms a Pinot Noir that the two of them are sharing. And he's so stunned that she can recognize the flaw in the wine. And, and it's just such great fun. And it's his depression and her beauty. And some people call Sideways great wine porn.
Yeah, why not?
And they did remake it with a Japanese version with Payne's blessing, but he didn't want to be involved in it. And it's
hilarious.
Called Sadowizu. And I'm probably pronouncing that one, but I think that's about right. Sadowizu.
Yeah. They don't, Japanese, you don't end on, if it's it's the Japanese consonants and vowels that they're using to say sideways, which
Sadowizu.
Yeah.
And he wasn't involved in it. And of course, Pickett wrote 2 sequels praying that Alexander Payne would make them. But Payne is not into sequels, so it's not going to happen.
It was a musical here in London.
Oh,
Sideways.
Right.
They made it into a musical, and I did David Gridley, who directed one of the best things I've seen on stage, Journey's End, which was incredible and wept buckets. But Sideways, I didn't get to see it. I didn't fancy seeing it because I didn't want to ruin my joint to the story. But also, saying that, Brief Encounter was also a musical, which I could not get tickets to, and was apparently amazing. Tat, my wife, got to see it, and she was just blown away by it. So apparently it was just stunning. So we've had 2 films today that were musical adaptations in the UK. Yeah.
Well, I guess Days of Wine and Roses is next. Gonna go pitch that to my cousin who produces on Broadway. Hey, Mark.
There you go.
So there's a couple of wonderful quotes from the movie that will end up on Sideways that are just wonderful. Yeah, we could go on and on about this. It's so Payne said, I always wanted Sideways to be like a 1960s Italian film, which I think it was. It was very raw. It was very open, very still, very beautiful. And so Jack to Miles says, here's what I'm thinking. You and me, we move up here. We buy a vineyard. You design the wine. I'll handle the business side. You get inspired. Maybe write another novel, one that can sell. Right? Right. I just love it. And then the wine, and then the wine quote. We must go out on a wine quote from this.
Okay.
Movie. Like we said, the dialogue is so beautiful in this movie. That's the reason they won the Oscar. And it was nice to see a really well-written movie with great dialogue.
Great dialogue.
Yes. So this is Miles to Jack. So we had Jack to Miles and Miles to Jack. I like all varietals. I just don't generally like the way they manipulate Chardonnay in California, ... too much oak.
It is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, yes.
Yeah.
So it is wine porn, to quote Mr. Payne, but it's wonderful. It's really fun. Really fun. And so those are our 3, 3 decades of love.
Love it. What a great 3 sets. I mean, I'm going to have to go and watch Days of Wine and Roses, but just to fill out. So I've seen 2 of the 3 and adore 2 of the 3. So
and Jack Lemmon.
Make it the hat trick. And Jack Lemmon. Can't go wrong.
You
can't go wrong.
No, you really can't. It's almost impossible. Impossible.
Thanks for coming to London as we learn to say goodbye with grace and class, David Lean style, and watching Jack Lemmon leaving the love of his life, Lee Remick, with anguish and heart, Blake Edwards style, before Alexander Payne let love prevail with Pinot Noir Napa Valley style. Cinema Sounds and Secrets is a production of CSS Sounds. Original music by the composer and pianist Merv DePayer. Sumptuous sound editing by Sam Boulier. Graphic design by Paul Koulos. Right-hand help from our super efficient production coordinator Zoe Ingalls and our amazing team of production intern assistants Tara Lindenbaum, Ali Meltzer, Helen Tellahan, Maxine Zhang, and Natalie Ang, and our devoted editor interns Spencer Cates, Amy Hattori, and Carolyn Weinstein. And my gratitude to the most brilliant wingman ever. Batman definitely wishes John had his back. The excellent John Schwab for his production support, love of film, and good humor. And my very special thanks to Pendleton, proving once again that dog is woman's best friend. Join us here next time when we go to a galaxy far, far away and a world where we can rock around the clock with 2 of the greatest and most personal movies from filmmaker George Lucas.
Cinema Sounds and Secrets. We'll be back with more movie lore before you can say, I'm precious.
I'm precious? Oh, John. Okay, who said it? I'm Janet Doolin-Jones.
You are so funny.
Precious. You can find out much more on our website, Cinema Sounds and Secrets, on the films in today's podcast, along with recommendations on where to find films, on great books on cinema, special interviews with filmmakers, and more. And please send us your questions and thoughts at cinemasoundsandsecrets.com. You can find us on all of your favorite streaming services, including Apple Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and many more. We hope you enjoyed today's show.